I'm Peter Berlinger, and you are?
And I'm Miles Astor.
Hi, Miles. How are you?
Great. It's been a long time since Chicago.
It has been. It's been. There's so many shows, so little time. I think it's been less than 30 days, hasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of lose track. We're kind of getting into one show running on top of another. I missed Montreal. I know you were up there.
Well, actually, I was not at Montreal, but it feels like I was at Montreal because I was. It seems like every other show in North America for the past 18 months. And I think that that's a great place for us to start today. Are there too many shows?
I think that's really an important question because to me it seems like we're getting into quantity over quality of shows, and I think it's getting to the point where are there enough manufacturers to support this many shows? And you know, maybe we need to think about maybe having 3 big regional shows instead of all these other little shows now, because New York show to me is kind of very disappointing, especially it pales in light of what Stereophile used to do with 12,000 people at a show. We're not seeing close to that, and this is the second, not counting sort of an aborted first attempt by Axpona here.
Well, I see it a little bit differently. I see the industry kind of deciding where it's going to go on its own. It's like this big blob of intelligence, and it's finding its way of, do we need more shows? Do we need more dealers? Or do we have enough home dealers? And there's so many more manufacturers, and where does this sort itself out? And I'll start at the end, at the conclusion. This New York show, to me, I thought was a smashing hit. Now, I didn't see the traffic in the hallway and down in the lobby area that you would see back in 2007, 2004 of the Stereophile show, but it's 2013 and we've come through a financial crisis, and I'm just glad that people can actually come out to these shows and spend this kind of money. I think that's a positive. And secondly, I think that the venue here at the New York Palace Hotel this year, which is new for these show organizers, is actually a fairly good place for a show. The smaller rooms, to my ears only, and it may not be Miles' ears, I thought sounded pretty good. You didn't have that big bass bump at 70 to 120 hertz. It was a little warm down in that region, but the walls are nice and stiff, so you could set up and get a nice sound stage in some of the smaller rooms. But no, back to, are there too many shows?
Well, I think, I still prefer quality over quantity, and, are we maybe better served? Because I think the whole question is, how do we reach the younger audience that we keep talking about? I mean, that's been the proverbial question in high-end audio, and, there's some people who have great ideas where we need to get back into the high schools and bring equipment into the high school or into college even, into college music classes and show them what audio is about. But, would we be served by a little smaller show where the manufacturers would be allowed to really try and set things up to the best of their ability?
Well, it's interesting. I ponder that too. Smaller regional shows, and then I think, well, why? What is going on here? What's the reality of this? And it dawned on me, I don't know, the past 2 weeks I thought, these shows, I thought at first were just, exciting. They were exciting for the press. They were exciting for the manufacturers to come and show it. They wanted to get in the show reports at Stereophile or the Absolute Sound or the e-zines. And the more I think of it, I see these shows as manufacturers are coming here to sell their products. I know a couple manufacturers whose owners, who send their reps to their shows, will get on them if they don't make a sale or have a solid lead after the show. So in maybe one sense, maybe the shows are taking the place of the larger dealer and filling a gap between that and the small home appointment only dealer, because now guys can come out, see the stuff here at the show, and then make an appointment later on for perhaps a rep in the area, or perhaps there's another audiophile who owns that piece of equipment that he can go and hear it as a follow-up and buy through the manufacturer's representatives. What do you think?
Well, I think you hit on an important thing, because I've heard that many times from manufacturers, why they don't want to do shows is it doesn't result in sales.
Yeah.
And so, certainly that's an important consideration. I guess what also I'm kind of, makes me a little bit, I don't want to say cross, but I see people not really supporting the shows. It's kind of funny in terms of dealers supporting the shows, and there's kind of this East-West Coast dichotomy going on where the East Coast, I feel the dealers look at their customers on an adversarial type relationship, whereas when I visit West Coast dealers, they embrace audiophiles that come into their store. They host, audio clubs in their show. You don't see that especially in the metropolitan area. And it's the same thing, like, you've got a couple of stores here who are basically latching on to the show and not doing anything to support it. And I know one could make an argument saying, okay, well, we're not going to have good sound here, so why should we do it? And I would say, well, then take a room, put a system in that's like $5,000. Do the best you could for a $5,000 system to get the younger people, to get someone into it, and then say, hey, if you want to hear something better, you can come up to our store.
Yeah, I hear you on that, and I think that's a viable way of doing business, and that's an anomaly here, I believe, in New York, because we have a lot of well-established large dealers in New York, and we have so much population right here. And I can understand the hesitancy of some of the dealers to say, well, why should we pay to go to a show when we have our storeroom right here, and we're paying all of this for per square footage to have 6 showrooms for anybody can come in and make an appointment and listen and hear what we have to offer. Why do we have to go over here and do the same thing? I kind of hear that, and I'm not a New Yorker. I live 90 miles down 95 in Philadelphia. We have a little bit of a different mindset there. The retail dealerships in our region are fairly friendly to the consumer that comes in. I mean, nobody wants to have someone come in and sit down and take up 4 hours of the owner's time listening to a pair of large Magicos, and then to get out and to go home and to never hear a word again. They want some feedback. They want to know, is this valuable for their time? And I mean, that's always the thing about when you're showcasing now is becoming a thing on the internet. People will go into a store, they'll look at a product, and then they'll go on the internet and they'll buy it. And how do you avoid that? I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer.
I had a very interesting conversation last night with Elliot, who owns Innovative Audio, and they had their own mission statement and their selling strategies. And one of the first questions they asked their customers is, what part do you want the arts to play in your life? And that's sort of like the defining question to them in terms of which way are they going to go with the customer. If they say it's really important, then they know that they're serious. If they're not, they're going to take him maybe in a lot less, different direction, maybe lesser price, in-wall speakers. So then what they're going to find is, they find in their sales is that these people then all of a sudden after 6 months, a year, come back to me, hey, I'd like, is what they'll do is they'll set their room up and have connections. Hey, if you ever want some floor standing speakers, you've got the connection in your room, you can go and do that. And this, a year later, this customer goes and goes, hey, I'd like to get those floor standing speakers. So,
Well, I think that's a great way of doing it, is ask the customer what their lifestyle is and then fit the products around it. And perhaps that's what we got to begin to think about. And again, I'm not in that business, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not there every day in the trench showing someone the beauty of these wonderful products. We're in a little different side of things. Well, we're coming and we're covering it, we're showing it to you. Through YouTube. And I gotta just say this. This is a really interesting statement. We always struggle and talk about how do we get younger viewers. Well, people who view these videos in the United States, they're age 55 or over. In Europe, they're age 42 is their average age. And in Asia, the average age is 32. And then the demographics are in the United States, the average age that view these exact YouTube videos, these AV showroom videos, 99% male. And in Europe, it's 89% male. And in Asia, it's 78% male. So the just a natural demographic of where we are in the world geographically is playing a part in where these products are going and being sold and being listened to. And another thing, this is really interesting. We were lining up the camera for a shoot in with one of their dealers and showing the BTAD speakers. These are wonderful speakers. You've seen them in our videos. You've seen them at shows. We're sitting there. I got the camera out. And someone points over, and I could hear it there. There was a full room of people. And someone piped up and goes, hey, look at that. There's that guy. And so I looked around and I thought, wow, who's, famous New Yorker? They were pointing at us, at me, because we had become so popular via YouTube that they saw and watched so many videos that we have become of familiarity to them. And I think that is a profound statement. It's proving that perhaps the way to reach everybody is just the way we're doing it right now. Let the YouTube do it. Let the YouTube serve up when they're searching on their favorite pop artist, and then we have that in one of our key phrases, and then pop up, here comes Miles and us and all of us sharing this to someone who perhaps hasn't heard of it or has not been to an audio dealership before. And really the finale to this story was, the guy said to me, he was there with his partner, and he said, we found this show because of your videos. We got
That's
on-
really amazing.
Is that amazing?
Yeah.
Because they got on the video led them to AV Showrooms, which led them to the banner ad for the New York Audio Show. So maybe we're sitting on the top of the wave and we don't see it. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I agree. I've felt for a long time that this was a good way to reach people, but it's one of those things where the ideas were ahead of the technology.
That's right, yeah.
I know
yeah,
10,
yeah.
15 years ago it was like something I really wanted to do, and
Yeah.
you've managed to now, with the editing is so much easier.
That's
and you
right,
can do
yeah.
things, even in real time now that just wasn't possible, a couple of years ago. So, I mean, and obviously manufacturers are catching on to. You see people like Wilson and,
That's
and
right.
companies like
That's
that
right, yeah.
producing videos now
Videos, that's
to
right.
promote their equipment, and it seems really successful. I mean, you see it posted on forums, and a lot of people are going to it. So
I know. I mean, it's really great because people are sharing our videos and other videos about high performance audio. They link to them, they share them on forums, and they embed them. And then all of a sudden I go, wow, how come I just put that video up, that Von Schweikert video from the last show? I didn't even put a blast out to we have 4,200 on our email list. We've only been in business a year and a half. And heck, the view count went up within one day to approaching 500. I didn't do anything because
Well, I
it
think
got picked up.
yeah, and I think the whole thing is like social media has really changed
Yeah,
a lot. I
it
mean,
is. It
even if you
has.
get into Facebook now, I think what it's done to audio is pretty amazing. Where, I've linked and friended people in Asia.
I
have people in
know,
Russia,
I know,
people in
I know,
Turkey.
I
In
know.
fact, someone was just saying, "Yeah, I just had somebody in Bangladesh, and I just sold him like some equipment." It was like, "Really, in Bangladesh?" And
Yeah,
it's like-
I know.
We know there's wealthy people there too, but
I know.
I think it's become a lot smaller, and I think it's becoming a major way of like people sharing experiences and promoting equipment. It's really a powerful tool.
Well, you mentioned Facebook, and a couple of my friends on Facebook, they're very young, and they live in Asia, and they're totally into all of this equipment and the music, just like we are. It's as if we're brothers. We're brothers in music, and it's been brought together by the internet. So the power of what we're doing right now, all of us together, who's watching the video, and Miles and I sitting here, I think that's the future myself.
Yeah, I think there's no question. It's the way the world's going to go. Everything is instant communication, right?
That's right.
Good and bad.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then let's follow up, and let's give our best of the New York Audio Show 2013.